Hello, Don. I'm going to do my final presentation on the fall of the museum at Alexandria. You have to excuse my backdrop behind me. I have two little boys running around upstairs, so I'm hiding in a closet in the basement to try to get away from some of the side noise. So if you hear any clunking, that's my boys jumping on the floor above my head. But anyway, the museum at Alexandria was once the largest museum in the world. Uh, it had to be the greatest catastrophe of the ancient world when it burned multiple times. The city itself was founded in 330 BC as a Mediterranean port by Alexander the Great, and that's where we get the name Alexandria, was from because of Alexander the Great. Demetrius of Phaleron, excuse me if I mispronounce a lot of these, but Demetrius organized the construction of the Temple of Muses, which is where we get the term museum today. He wanted to have a library with every book in the world all located in Alexandria. It eventually was made up of three buildings, all centrally located near the port at Alexandria. This was during the time of the Ptolemaic dynasty, anywhere between 369 and 246 BC. All of the different places I read all had varying dates, but everything was within those dates. So I'm going to say between 369 and 246 BC. It contained as many as 700,000 papyrus scrolls, which would equal out to over 100,000 books in today's library. It contained works of Pluto, Homer, Socrates, and lots of names that I read that there is no way in the world I could ever pronounce. Even by Googling it, asking for pronunciations, there's no chance. This is where the Septuagint was done. Septuagint, of course, like you talked in the class, means 70. It's where the translation from Hebrew was done into Greek, mainly for circulation among the Alexandrian Jews that spoke Greek and not Hebrew. It also housed more than 100 scholars that would actually live there to teach and to study and learn. And it also had a zoo, had many lecture areas, gardens, and shrines. The first burning and destruction of the museum itself was set fire in the Alexandrian War of Julius Caesar. He set fire to the ships that were at port after being cut off by sea while going after Pompey into Egypt at Alexandria. And he was stuck there, so he burned the boats and therefore caught the docks on fire, which eventually went up to the museum and burned the museum. But after that, Mark Antony gave Cleopatra over 200,000 of the scrolls of Pergamon. Don't know if I said that again right. Pergamon, to make up for it. The second disaster was in 391. Theodosius I called for the destruction of the sister museum called Serapeum, and a Christian church was put in its place later. The third disaster was from Caliph Omad in 640. The Arabs captured Alexandria after a long battle, and they decided that if whatever scrolls they found were to contradict the Quran, then they would automatically be burned. And if they went with the Quran and agreed with the Quran, then they were useless, so they were of no use to anyone. So all of them were going to be burned. They took all of the papyruses and they actually used them to burn and heat the bathhouses for the city. And all of the bathhouses that received heat from this, it lasted 6 months. So I'm thinking 6 months worth of paper. I mean, a piece of paper burns pretty quick, and where you would build a fire, you would normally use wood. I mean, how much paper or papyrus would that have taken to heat every bathhouse in the city for 6 months? I mean, that's a crazy amount. And I wonder, do the people that were taking these to burn in their own bathhouses, there had to be someone or some people that saw what they were burning and would realize that, this is something important. And my hope, and I have to think that somebody had to see what was going on and save some of those. So there might be, thousands and thousands of pages of papyrus hidden still, like the Dead Sea Scrolls that are squirreled away somewhere. I mean, they could just be buried in the middle of the sand somewhere, just waiting for somebody to find them. Hopefully, we'll find something like that, sometime, hopefully soon, so we can see that. It'd be pretty amazing. As for today, there's nothing left of the museum that was at Alexandria at the time. It's completely gone. They did open a new museum called the Museum at Alexandria in October of 2002, and it's got 500,000 books in it now, which is a lot lower than most other national libraries. In 2010, they received 500,000 from the National Library of France. They say at the rate that they're gaining books now, it'll take about 80 years to fill the library at the current rate, because their capacity is 8 million books. And they mostly rely on donations. It does have a lab for manuscript restoration, so hopefully if they do find some buried in the desert, then they'll have a place to restore those and hopefully let the whole world know and see it. But it is not on the original site. And the 3 languages that the books in the new museum are in English, French, and Arabic, which kind of seemed odd to me